Let's say that tomorrow iRacing decided to hire a bumbling YouTuber with no business experience to be their CEO. What would I do? First off, a couple disclaimers. This is all for fun. I'm not saying I know better than the people who work for iRacing how iRacing is supposed to work, but I have a couple ideas which I think might be pretty cool. And then also, I'm not going to be covering like the fix your game aspect of this because I want to stick more to like what iRacing could do on the business side of things potentially to spice things up a bit. So first off, coming in with the heat, make iRacing free to play, but not quite in the way that you might expect. It seems like the best way currently to try iRacing without breaking the bank or diving in too deep into it is going to be through the promo codes for either a really cheap 3 months of subscription or 3 free months of subscription depending what you can get your hands on. While I think this does the job pretty well, I have an interesting idea about how to incorporate a permanent free-to-play style experience that won't take away from any other aspect of iRacing. So my idea is a series that is completely free, no subscription, no nothing, and it rotates cars and tracks every week, not just with free tracks and free cars, paid tracks, paid cars, everything. But the kicker is this series is unofficial and it only has 2 or 3 races every day, but you'll be able to test throughout the week. I think this has the potential of drawing in even more new users than just the standard 3-month promo code into the rookie series, because a lot of people who are just trying to dip their toes into iRacing don't want to buy tracks off the rip, so they'll just be exposed to only rookie content. But if you're able to get them experience with different cars and different tracks that iRacing has to offer, I think they're more likely to stick around and even buy more content working their way up to that car that they tried and really like, such as the Formula 1 car. But why only 2 to 3 races a day? So that people don't just stick to playing that series every single week and end up not buying anything from iRacing. You want to give them the taste, but you don't want to give them enough to where they just feel like they don't need to buy anything. Plus, keeping testing open to everybody for this car and track combination could act as like a demo for iRacing for people to just drive around and get to know iRacing and try it out without being fully committal to making an account and all of that stuff. Next, I have the idea of selling AI seasons. This might be a little bit ridiculous, but I think it might be an interesting idea. I think there are a lot of people who want to get into iRacing specifically for the AI racing, probably on more on the NASCAR side than anything. I think for a lot of road racing, there is good alternatives to iRacing for AI, but I'm thinking especially for like NASCAR Cup type of racing, there hasn't been a good console game in a while, and of course iRacing is making one themselves, but in the meantime, I had an idea of just selling the AI season, so the Cup car, all of the tracks that come with the Cup car, you can only race them in AI, sell it for a flat price, maybe like $50 or so. I bet some people will think that's a ripoff. I bet some people will think that's a good idea, but at the end of the day, I think there is an audience of people who would never spend the amount of money that it costs to buy every NASCAR track, but would want to run an AI season off of iRacing. Next, I have iRacing doing more with the sim to reality experience. There was just a literal movie in theaters about somebody becoming a real-life race car driver from a video game, and I don't think iRacing does quite enough selling that dream, so to speak. You see in real life, iRacing sponsors a bunch of active iRacers in their real life cars like in NASCAR, but very rarely do they take somebody who is only known for being on the sim and bring them up into any sort of capacity in real life. It's usually people that are already established. And if cost really is that much of an issue, there are options that don't really even cost that much at all. Like, why not make it so that the champion of the iRacing Coca-Cola series gets a real-life ARCA car test? That doesn't cost much in comparison to some of the other expenses they have, but they can make content out of it, maybe even sponsor them for like even a late model race. It doesn't have to be this, oh, well, throw them in a NASCAR, pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. It just needs a little bit of effort, and I think that the amount of exposure that it would get through content and through stories like that would far outweigh the cost of putting in. But with the amount of sponsoring iRacing does in real life NASCAR already, I would be surprised if they couldn't afford to make a prize for one of these series like the Coca-Cola series be driving in a real life race. And again, I know they've done similar things in the past, but I just don't think they're capitalizing on this opportunity as much as they should, especially with the idea becoming that, oh, race car drivers can start on a simulator. iRacing, I think, should just fully lean into that. And the next idea I have comes from a joke YouTube comment I left as a reply to someone where I said iRacing should add a battle pass. So I kind of sat down and thought to myself, what would be the best quote unquote battle pass that iRacing could do that would actually be beneficial? And I think I got it. I think that iRacing should use a battle pass to revive dead series. So here's the rough idea. You have a series like, I don't know, the Stock Car Brazil, and for one season, you make that season free. All the tracks, all the cars, free. And if you complete a full season of it along the way, you get the Stock Car Brazil for free. And if iRacing wants to squeeze a little bit more money, then okay, maybe you don't make the tracks free. Probably a lot of people own most of the tracks already and they would still be able to take advantage of it. But at the very least, I think that the car should be free, and I think that the car should be the reward at the end of the season for completing it. And you know, for some series like the Mission R or the Stock Car Brazil, maybe that won't revive it, but I think there are some series that you can do it for, like the Lotus, which I think a lot of people would fall in love with if they got the opportunity to run a full season of it, which might just revive series fully if they're good enough. You know, now that I think about it, the iRacing credit at the season end system is kind of like a battle pass, but man, with how much tracks cost and how much credits you get for completing series, that's kind of negligible in my opinion, but who knows. And my final thing is probably going to be my hottest take, or maybe my most controversial opinion, but I think that iRacing should start going away from pandering to esports and going more towards the casual sim racer. If you watch my channel for a while now, you've probably known that I'm not the biggest believer in iRacing esports. I watch all of the races, I enjoy them personally, I just don't see the numbers working out in my head. But basically, my opinion is that iRacing should be working on their casual base, because the value of iRacing, in my opinion, comes more from the people that are racing in iRacing than the iRacing service itself. If iRacing focuses more on the casual side, the people who just want to have fun racing, who aren't taking things too seriously, I think that it'll make the service a lot more appealing to a broader audience, which I know you might not argue that that might not be what iRacing wants, but at the end of the day, I think that it would improve the racing for everybody if the culture shifted a little bit away from the esports side of things and more towards just the, we're running a simulator and we're having a good time. And you might say, doesn't that go against your point about the sim to reality earlier? I think that's a little bit different, because I think with iRacing esports, the dream is to like become this professional sim racer, which I don't really think is that feasible. But when you have the dream of becoming a real life race car driver, I think that's something that arguably is more tangible, more feasible, and would actually be a better selling point. I think there are two types of sim racers mainly, the type of sim racer who wants to be the fastest and the type of sim racer who wants to be the most immersed. And I think that iRacing has been focusing a little bit too much on the people that want to be the fastest. They might be the most vocal in the community, but I just don't think that they have the most numbers. I think that the numbers come from people who want to just sit down and be immersed in the world of racing. And I think that there are better ways to do that than to be going all in on esports and all of this really competitive stuff. But like always, let me know in the comments below what you think about my opinions and if you have any ideas that you would implement if you were the CEO of iRacing. Alrighty, thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.